Hello, my name is Kim Knights. I work at Suffolk County Council and I am the Head of Business Management working in adult social care. We are recording a series of short films where I will be chatting with people who also work in adult social care in Suffolk as part of our iCare campaign. I will be asking them about their career, the support that they have had from the council and why they chose the career they did, and what they enjoy about their job and the work that they do. I really hope that through these films you will learn a little bit about the wide range of roles available. I also hope that you will find inspiration in these films to consider whether a career in care would be right for you. For more information about working in adult social care here in Suffolk, please visit our website www.careers.suffolk.gov.uk/services and click on adult social care. Hello, welcome. Would you like to tell everyone what your name is and what your current role is?
So my name is Charlotte Driver-Young and I am the current Operations Director at Christies Care Limited.
Welcome. So would you like to tell us a bit about Live-In Care and Christies? Tell us all about it.
My pleasure. So Christies Care is a family-run and owned business. We've been running since 1987. Hugh, our chairman, is 82 and he still comes into the office every single morning. So he's an institution in himself. Freddie, his son, is the managing director. And then there's myself as operations director. So we've been long established within Live-In Care, and I'll talk about Live-In Care in a little while. But also now we're branching out into domiciliary, hourly visiting care. And also we're looking at how we can expand our training facility within Christies Care to be able to support other providers within like the care sector. So predominantly, obviously, Live-In Care was where we first started, and we've been doing that for a long time, working very closely with Suffolk County Council for a number of years as well. So Live-In Care is basically, in a nutshell, where our carers live with our clients 24/7 and to be able to help them to be able to live independently in their own homes.
Yeah. And what kind of people would you look after?
So we do 18 years and above, so adults. We do a variety of care for adults, so elderly, vulnerable people, people with specific care needs such as dementia, Parkinson's, but we also support people with learning disabilities as well. So that's what.
And you said that obviously you work with Suffolk County Council, but you obviously take private
We do,
as well?
yeah. So we've always done a mixture of private and live-in. I think it's healthy to be able to have that balance for a sustainable business, and obviously that's that aspect we have to think about. But also from the live-in, we've worked with Suffolk for a long time, but obviously as the kind of the demographics change, we are actually working with Suffolk more from the like the visiting care aspect. So we've been taking on a lot of packages from there. And I hate calling it packages, but it's obviously client.
Yeah. And is that going well?
Yeah, it's going really well. So we started nearly 2 years ago from Saxmundham, and we've grown really quite well. We're up to 700 hours of care providing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, really proud of that. So we're doing well in Saxmundham. We've just started in Stowmarket as well. We've just got our first CQC registration, so it's separate to our main head office at Saxmundham. And we're just hitting 100 hours, and actually we're predominantly doing local authority for that at the moment until we get more established. So so it's going well.
What kind of people work for you, Charlotte?
We have a diverse range of people working for us. I think it's reflective of our community, really. So we have obviously our live-in carers, and we have a real mixture of ethnicities. We have local carers, but obviously more from the live-in. We've always recruited a lot from South Africa, so we employ South African recruiters and agents, and so we have a stream of South African carers coming through, and that's on ancestral visas, so not through sponsorship, but we've been doing that since the 90s, and that works well for us. And we're very lucky that we have within our main head office at Saxmundham, we have accommodation where we can allow our carers to stay with us, so they always stay with us when they do training. Obviously now, since Brexit, we have got more of a breadth in relation to UK carers as well doing live-in. But live-in is quite particular because you're a lone worker for long periods of time. So it only tends to suit certain people around their circumstances. Within the community, we're really focusing on local, trying to recruit locally.
Yeah.
And that works for us because we've always been a local recruiter
Yeah.
within Saxmundham. So we've always been quite a rural employer. And I think that works well for us from the
Yeah.
carer perspective as well. So kind of rural care is where we're kind of focusing because of the recruitment of our carers and where they're
Yeah.
coming from. So.
And rural care is quite challenging, isn't it?
It is, yes. But I think for us, because that's where we're based,
Yeah.
we've always been able to do that well. So, and it is hard. Recruitment is hard. It's always there, but we always look at how we can kind of overcome those barriers
Yeah.
and to be able to kind of just get ourselves out there and be that employer of
Yeah.
choice, really, for our local communities, really.
And if there was any carers out there that wanted to come and work for you, what kind of person are you looking for?
Well, we need to have someone who is ready for a challenge, and especially from the pop-in, like visiting care, it's full on. You
Yeah.
know, so you need to be able to kind of know that your day is going to be filled.
Yeah.
You're going to go from one person to another, but actually I find that quite enriching,
Yeah.
that you're seeing, you know, a different client base regularly. So you need to have someone who's quite dynamic, who can think on their feet. But fundamentally, we know that most people that go into care go into it because they generally do care and they want to make a difference, and they can see the difference that they're making to people's lives daily.
Yeah.
So.
Excellent, thank you. So we've talked a lot about Christies Care and
Yeah,
live-in and
yeah.
home care, but how did you get into this role?
Really randomly.
Tell me about it.
So for me, I've never really had an aspiration to work in care. My background really is policing and law, to be honest.
Yeah.
So when I was at school, I always had a passion around injustice. So I always wanted to be a judge, but I didn't really apply myself academically enough to be able to be a judge. So I went to college and I studied law, and I also did like secretarial skills as well.
Yeah.
And back in those days, because we're talking a long time ago now, that was kind of encouraged.
Yeah.
And I worked in solicitors for quite a while, worked my way up. And then I had my children, and I kind of got to a stage when I wanted to be able to experience more. My husband was a serving police officer, and so a civilian job came actually working across the road at the new Crown Court.
Yeah.
So I started working for the police, and then just kind of, it opened up a whole world of opportunity for me. So I became quite operational as a civilian. So I worked as a police investigator.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked on murders, and I was a murder investigator for 8 years, which was amazing. But also I kind of saw the safeguarding aspect of that, which always resonated with me. A lot of people that we would deal with would have mental health issues. So, and then I went into child abuse, which as a supervisor, which was very challenging. And then I got promoted again to a manager within the cybercrime team, which was a new team of civilian investigators across the whole of Suffolk. And that was kind of looking at like online grooming.
Yeah.
But I struggled with promotion within the police because I was operational but not a police officer. So there was always a very clear pathway for police officers but not civilians. So it was one of those kind of, I'd got to a crossroads where I tried to get promoted and it was just becoming harder. So it was either you put up and shut up or you do something about it. So I left and I went into HR consultancy and got a degree in HR as an HR consultant. And then I started working with Christies Care, and the rest is history, really. I was supporting them from HR perspective, and then an opportunity came up for an operations manager.
Yeah.
So Freddie spoke to me, said, would I like to do the role? And it was kind of where my roots are, really, working with people.
Yeah.
And operationally as well for my policing. So yeah, I went in and did that role, loved it. A lot of my skill set just naturally kind of radiated towards that role. I loved working with the people within care. You know, we work hard within care. It's challenging every single day. And I felt that I could be a voice for people that I worked with, but also the care sector and the social care as a whole. And then I got promoted within 18 months very quickly to director. And that's what I've been doing now for the last, well, I've been at Christie's for 4 years. So, and what resonated with me is just my skill set that I could actually adapt to care. and also dealing with social workers. And the safeguarding aspects I knew around all of that. So it did help my background to be able to cement, you know, foundations for me within care. But it was a minefield. There was so much that people used to talk about and had no idea what they were saying. And I didn't really understand the how diverse care is. I just thought you either went into a care home or you had someone just popping in.
I think that's what most people think.
So I didn't understand living care, and that's what we did when I first started. So, and it's just another element of care that enriches people's lives. So.
What a pathway into care.
Yeah, it's very random.
And are you still enjoying it? I could see the passion when you talk about it.
I
still
love
enjoying it?
Yeah, I think this is my vocation, to be honest. I think this is my calling. And I think also, for me, it came at the right time. You know, I'd raised my family, I'd done that, and I was looking for a career, and it kind of, the stars aligned. And I just think for me, I've got an amazing workforce, I've got amazing managers, I have amazing care coordinators, and it's just across the board really. And I think, you know, structurally we're really sound. And it's just a privilege to be able to go to work every day really.
What might be next for you?
So I think now that I've got a good 4 years under my belt and I really understand the demographic of care, I want to be able to try and kind of be the voice for care providers.
Brilliant.
And I have been fortunate to do a couple of like care conferences, but obviously I'm quite new compared to a lot of people that have been in the industry for longer. But I do want to be able to kind of push around being more actively involved in care. I want to inspire others to see that there is that career pathway within care, that you can do that quite quickly as well. But also, you know, I was a registered manager as well, so I know the trials and tribulations of being a registered manager. And, you know, I was really naive when I went into that role. I always say that Freddie kind of bamboozled me a little bit. But again, I see that as a privilege to be able to have done that, to be able to understand the struggles that people experience daily, because the role of registered manager is like, I always say it's like chasing a unicorn, because that job description is vast and there's a lot of responsibilities on people's shoulders. But yeah, next for me is just really kind of promoting care generally. I still am very passionate around living care. I feel that that's a sector that is quite a grey area and that is overseen quite a lot. And I know it's a challenge from working with local authorities because it's a cost, and I get that. But we've always been very open about how much we charge, and we can't do it for any less. So, and obviously for me, it's just promoting just the outcomes that people do every day.
And it's about having the different options, isn't it, for people, and, you know, personalised care offers.
And that is the thing, we talk about it, don't we? Personalised care, person-centred care, but actually what does that mean? And I think for me, it's always been navigating, being true to who you are as a provider and what you offer, and making sure that you do deliver on what you say you do. Because I think with everything, people only come into care as in, like, as a client perspective when they're in crisis. And a lot of people, it's like a necessary evil in a way. But then once they start to kind of see what's available, you can then see how enriching people's lives can be through care. And the difference that people make just in a half an hour visit to go and see somebody. But also there's a lot of expectation, isn't there, on their shoulders around medication and all the rest of it, but very rewarding and very fulfilling.
Any funny stories about your journey in care?
So I was trying to think about funny stories, and I think the thing is, we have to have a dry, dark sense of humour to be able to overcome all the things that we experience, especially from a safeguarding perspective. And just, I think for me, it's always about, things never kind of cease to amaze you. But one of the things that kind of kept resonating with me is quite irrelevant to my care journey, but it's something that like my mum experienced. So my mum is one of 8 and my mum is one of the younger ones. And so we've had to navigate care quite a lot with like my elderly aunties and uncles. And so they've kind of had like pop-in care, they've had to go into care homes, and also they've had people come in and stay with them for longer periods of time. But my uncle, bless him, had MS, and he was towards the end of his life and he was in hospital. And my mum and a lot of my aunties would go up and visit my uncle. And my mum went into hospital to go and visit my uncle. And she went into the ward and she was talking to my uncle and she was stroking his hair, saying, "It's okay, Peter, we're here, I'm here," and talking to him. And then this chap basically turned around and said, "I'm not Peter."
Oh my goodness.
And she'd gone in and she was basically speaking to and being very kind to a random man she'd never met before. But she actually really made a difference to him.
Did
and he
she?
really appreciated
Oh.
it. And whilst we were, obviously it was very funny because my uncle was literally the next bed along.
Was he watching?
He was probably looking, thinking, what on earth is my mum doing? She actually made a difference to that person in just a really short period of time. And I always think about my poor mum because she was just mortified, but also she then sat with him and had a chat with him.
Oh, that's
and
just
lovely. And I
lovely.
think that's the thing for when people are in crisis and they need a little bit of support, even the random ways of going about it, it still kind of has that like...
That's lovely.
Yes, that was the only thing because I always laugh about it about my mum.
Is there anything that you'd like to say to anyone that's thinking about starting a career in care?
Yeah. I think for me, it needs to be a passion and a vocation. And I think it's challenging and it's very hard work because we do put a lot of expectation on people's shoulders. But also, I always look at it to think, what an amazing job to be able to go into people's homes every day, to be able to support them, to be able to still live in their own homes. And I think it's around seeing those little differences. Like we've got a carer that was looking after one of our clients who was at end of life, and she went in and her rabbit had bunnies, and she took a couple of little baby bunnies in, and it just made such a difference to our client. And even though they were visiting for 2 or 3 hours every day, just something like that, it's where you can do that, you can think on your feet to be able to think, well, this is what my client would love, and to be able to do that is amazing. And you do have autonomy to be able to kind of enrich. So I think for me, I would definitely advocate it, but also I think we have to be realistic about the fact that it is challenging and there is a lot that you have to do around the weight on your shoulders, around medication and administration and all that sort of stuff, but actually see beyond that and just see that actually for you, you've got variety in your role, which is an amazing thing, because a lot of people moan about the same old, whereas you know, you go in and even though you know that there's a list of tasks that you need to be able to do to support that person, you can go above and beyond as well. And also that we can share those amazing stories with people like yourselves. And there's so many platforms that we can really highlight the good work that's being done.
That's
so
wonderful.
yeah, I appreciate what like my staff do every single day, and I'm so proud of what they do.
And it comes across. I can feel your passion and your energy for it.
Yeah, I am. And I feel so lucky that I'm able to be able to do that. And also for me, it's a privilege for me to be able to be that voice as well, to be able to represent my company, but also to be able to represent other providers as well. Because that's really important, because sometimes we only see the negative stories, but that's the minority. It's the majority that are doing the amazing work. And obviously for us, we are very privileged that we are outstanding as well. We're rated outstanding, which is another amazing thing to be able to...
Something to be proud of.
It's 4% of care providers, isn't it?
Yeah, something to be proud of very much.
Definitely, definitely.
So it's been a pleasure talking to you, Charlotte.
You.
Thank you.
Thank you.